I'm Blake Essig in the middle of the Arctic Ocean with the Coast Guard cutter Healy.
Well, Matt, good morning. 9 people are dead, 8 passengers and 1 pilot. Search and rescue officials say that it appears that the plane crashed into a 50-foot cliff. Earlier this afternoon, 7 structures stood on this property. One of them right here. This was the main house. You can still see the pipes sticking out of the ground. Tonight, that house is hundreds of yards downriver.
Along the shore of the Black Sea near the coastal cluster, you can pretty much wear whatever you want. But up in the mountain cluster, you might want to wear a jacket, as colder temperatures and lots of snow make Sochi the perfect place to host a Winter Games.
It's here. About 10 minutes ago, it just started to pour. We have seen lightning strike in all directions, multiple lightning strikes.
Following the Kulik's 12-hour journey from Ocean Bay to Kaluta Bay, where it currently sits.
I had a little bit of a Charlie Brown experience back when I was a kid. It may or may not have ended with me on my back and crying, so I left the kicking to Kevin.
This is where it all started in 2006, right here on this frozen field that's nothing more than dirt and big rocks.
For the next 2 months, this is where more than 1,200 climbers from around the world will begin their attempt at summiting America's tallest mountain peak. In order for students to pass the physical part of the test, students must walk 3 miles in under 45 minutes, all the while carrying a 45-pound pack strapped to their back. The party has already started here. It started about an hour ago, and thanks to unseasonably warm weather, I'm told it's actually the warmest New Year's Eve we've had since 1984, 30 years. This is a developing story. Police are still here on scene, and we'll have more information for you as it becomes available. What would you do if with each passing moment, your window to the world was growing darker and darker? What would it look like? What would you want to see before everything finally faded away? For 9-year-old Ben Pierce of Dallas, Texas, it looks something like this. Ben is slowly losing his vision. He was born 4 months early and weighed just 22 ounces. His family calls him a miracle baby.
It's called ROP, retinopathy of prematurity end. We were warned that he may be blind and deaf and have cerebral palsy, among some of the other challenges.
While he's managed to beat the odds so far, one challenge still remains. Doctors say there is nothing they can do about Ben going blind.
Each time he grows, he loses a little bit more of his eyesight. Late at night, he'll often come into our room in tears and say, "This is really hard, and I'm sad that I can't see anymore."
Realizing that his vision is only getting worse, Ben decided to dream big and create a list, a wish list of things he wants to see before his vision runs out. Which is why he traveled nearly 4,000 miles into the heart of Alaska's wilderness.
He dreams. He dreams in the things that he's seen. So, pack him full of stuff.
Look, wow.
And this weekend,
amazing!
One of those dreams came to light.
Some parts it's brown, the other part is like super green.
As the aurora painted the northern sky.
Oh, there's another one, Mom.
Bennett.
Oh, there's another one over there.
Bennett, you spotted it first. Good eyes.
Wait, there are 2 on either side.
A picture-perfect night, captured forever in photographs.
Ben, would you like to pose for one by yourself?
Hands up in the air, Ben. You got the whole world.
3, 2, 1. Oh, buddy, that's awesome.
A moment in time that Ben will never forget.
It's really beautiful and pretty. It's like watercolors going across the sky.
And while the brilliance of the dancing lights was the main reason for Ben's visit, he also had a few other items on the list. And when a moment happens quickly,
Oh, there it is.
sometimes you need a lift to get there.
It's a moose.
Is it as big as you thought it would be?
Yes. It's so amazing.
Even as the world all around him slowly fades to black, Ben's love for life shines brightly. So what would you do if your windows to the world were closing? What do you want to see before life's vivid images fade from sight?
He tells us that he dreams about a lot of the things that he's seen. And he told us, even if I can't see them anymore, I can still remember them in my memory.
River's never been this close before. This is the worst it's ever been.
87-year-old Evelyn Johnson and her family have called Sutton home for the past 35 years.
My husband used to mow all the grass out here with a riding mower.
Grass that has since been washed away by the fast-moving Matanuska River.
When we first built this house in 1980, the river was clear over on the other side, and it's moved over since then.
Did the river take the trees away too?
Uh-huh.
This is now the view from outside Evelyn's home. The surging river only a few feet from her back door.
Yeah, the river's gone down here. See how high it was?
Borough officials say the river began to swell and change course last weekend. Since then, one home and several structures have been lost, with at least another half-dozen properties in danger of suffering a similar fate.
You know, you might live here another 3 years, or you might need to go tomorrow.
Officials say warm weather and rain causing the Matanuska Glacier to melt are responsible.
The south side is gravel loaded up, and the river's working its way north. And there's nothing really to stop it because this highway and all the way over to the bench you see behind you is the same material. It's just glacier gravel.
A reality this 87-year-old has come to accept as the mighty Matanuska continues to inch closer.
They did it right. They absolutely did it right.
Since April, residents in Shagaluk say they pleaded for help.
And we called for help repeatedly for probably 6 months. And the response that we continuously got is, we really can't do anything until something happens. Well, something happened, let me tell you.
What happened was two members of this tight-knit village, 46-year-old Flossie Simone and 56-year-old John Arrow, were killed. The suspect, their son, 21-year-old Everett Arrow. Brutal violence that this community of about 80 says was completely preventable. Warning signs that left locals fearing for their own safety.
Over the course of the last 6 months, it's just progressively gotten worse. Hearing voices in his head, acting out violently towards others, having violent thoughts and talking about those thoughts to his friends.
Back in May, Everett was arrested for stabbing another community member.
He was apprehended then, taken into custody, turned over to API in Anchorage.
About a month later, he returned. And throughout the summer, this remote village along the east bank of the Unoco River was on edge, reaching its tipping point about 3 weeks ago, as signs of what they call Everett's extreme mental illness worsened.
We locked down the school at that time. Troopers were called, and what was told to the people who called the troopers is that he needs to have hurt someone for them to respond.
A call for help to the Antioch troopers, they say, went unanswered. One that Christopher Burns, a counselor for the Yukon-Kuskokwim Health Corporation, says was exactly what they should have done, saying the system let this community down.
I've seen it work over the course of years where the systems that are currently in place, when they connect one dot to the next, it works beautifully. And very clearly it did not work. It seems that one dot here did not connect with the next.
Burns points to an Alaska statute called Title 47, a statute specifically designed to allow authorities to hold a person for safety purposes, not only if they're a threat to themselves or others, but also if they're gravely disabled.
And gravely disabled, of course, means the inability to care for yourself in a healthy way. Usually this involves basic eating, sleeping, hygiene kind of practices. And it seems as though this gentleman was gravely disabled.
3 weeks later, members of this remote village in western Alaska are forced to deal with their worst fear come true. 2 lifelong community members killed because the village says cries for help fell on deaf ears.